the subscribe button if you don't want me to come at night.
In the dead of night, a lone figure stands on a desolate road, thumb outstretched, seeking a ride. The moon casts long, spectral shadows, transforming the landscape into a tableau of black and silver. The only sound is the howling of the wind, as if whispering ancient secrets to the solitary figure. The road, stretching out into the inky darkness, seems to disappear into oblivion, amplifying a sense of isolation. Our hitchhiker, shrouded in mystery, appears as an enigma in this desolate world. His eyes, reflecting the pallor of the moonlight, are filled with an untold story. A chilling aura surrounds him, raising a myriad of questions. Who is he? Where is he going? Why is he here in the middle of nowhere, at this unearthly hour? His presence seems to intensify the eeriness of the night, painting a picture that's both intriguing and unsettling. Little did the next passerby know their decision to stop would lead them down a terrifying path. Scene script. Who was this hitchhiker, you ask? His story begins not on this road, but in a sleepy town miles away. Our wandering hitchhiker wasn't always so. Once upon a time, he was a mere mortal, much like any of us. He resided in a quaint little town, a place where everyone knew everyone, and secrets were as rare as a warm day in winter. His life, as far as anyone could tell, was as ordinary as they come. He worked a 9-to-5 job, had a small house with a white picket fence, even a dog named Scruffy. He was just another face in the crowd. Yet, as the sun set and the moon took its place in the sky, a peculiar transformation took place. The man who smiled at his neighbors, who played fetch with Scruffy, began to change. It started with strange occurrences. Objects moving on their own, doors inexplicably opening and closing, whispers in the dead of night. The townsfolk chalked it up to the wind, or the house settling. Anything but the truth. As weeks turned into months, these occurrences escalated. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. The townspeople began to notice the change. They saw the fear in his eyes, the exhaustion that clung to him like a second skin. Rumors began to circulate, whispers of a curse, a haunting, a dark secret. Yet our man remained silent, his lips sealed, his eyes telling a story he dared not voice. Then, one fateful night, his house, the one with the white picket fence and the dog named Scruffy, was found empty. His belongings were still there, his car parked in the driveway, but of the man there was no sign. He had vanished, as if he had never been there at all. And then one day he vanished, leaving only whispers of his chilling tale behind. Back on the road, headlights pierce the darkness. A vehicle approaches. In the heart of this desolate landscape, the hitchhiker's solitary figure is illuminated, a lone beacon in a sea of black. The car slows, its engine humming a low, almost comforting rhythm in the still of the night. The driver, a good Samaritan of sorts, offers the hitchhiker a ride. There's an unspoken rule in these parts. No one should be left alone in the cold, not when the darkness is so all-consuming. Inside the car, the warmth is a stark contrast to the harsh chill outside. The driver, trying to lighten the atmosphere, strikes up a conversation. Questions hang in the air like smoke, swirling and twisting. Where are you headed? Been on the road long? But the hitchhiker, his face half lit by the dim dashboard lights, gives nothing away. His answers are as cryptic as the man himself, vague, non-committal, almost as if he's reluctant to break the silence that seems to cloak him. The driver, attempting to fill the quiet, talks about the weather, the barren landscape, anything to stave off the growing unease. But the hitchhiker's silence is louder, more profound. It's a tangible entity, spreading through the car like tendrils of cold fog. Each word from the driver seems to echo back, unanswered, amplifying the tension that fills the space between them. The hitchhiker's gaze remains fixed on the road ahead, his expression unreadable. His silence, once merely awkward, now feels heavy, oppressive. The driver can't ignore it anymore. The atmosphere in the car is charged, the air almost too thick to breathe. The vehicle continues to slice through the darkness, the journey stretching on like a nightmare from which one cannot wake. As the night deepens, the driver senses something isn't right. The hitchhiker, a stranger in his car, is also a mystery that the night refuses to unravel. In the back of his mind, a seed of dread begins to sprout, watered by the unsettling silence and the dark, desolate road that lies ahead. As the journey continues, the driver's unease grows. The hitchhiker's silence is unnerving. The driver, trying to fill the silence, musters up the courage to engage the hitchhiker. His words echo in the car, cutting through the quiet. "So, what brings you out here?" he asks, his voice shaky, betraying his unease. The hitchhiker, still staring out the window, finally breaks his silence. His words are slow, measured, and filled with a chilling calm. He starts to unravel his story, each word dropping like a stone in the stillness of the car. He talks of a childhood home, a decrepit mansion filled with eerie shadows and whispering winds. He speaks of strange occurrences, of unexplained footsteps echoing in the hallways at night, and of whispers that seem to emanate from the walls. As the hitchhiker delves deeper into his tale, the driver's discomfort escalates. He speaks of a room, locked and forbidden, that held an inexplicable allure. Of the night he dared to venture into it, finding an antique mirror that seemed to hold another world within its depths. A world filled with ghostly apparitions and chilling events that still haunted him. The driver's knuckles turn white on the steering wheel as the hitchhiker describes the figure in the mirror, a spectral entity with a haunting gaze that seemed to pierce his soul. The figure that, on a moonlit night, stepped out of the mirror and into his world. The car seems to close in around the driver as the hitchhiker's tale reaches its climax. He talks of the spectral figure's prophecy, of a terrifying destination at the end of a desolate road. The driver's heart pounds in his chest, his breaths coming in shallow gasps as the realization hits him. The hitchhiker's tale is not a tale. It's a warning, and he is the protagonist in this chilling narrative. The driver, now terrified, decides to leave the hitchhiker at the next stop. The next stop arrives, but it's not what the driver expects. As the eerie glow of the headlights pierces the darkness, an abandoned building emerges from the shadows. It stands alone, lost in time and forgotten by civilization, somewhere in the middle of nowhere. The driver's heart pounds like a drum in his chest. The hitchhiker, with a voice as cold as ice, asks him to stop. The driver's eyes dart around the forsaken landscape, the hairs on the back of his neck standing on end. His initial curiosity about the hitchhiker morphs into a deep-rooted fear. The man beside him is an enigma wrapped in a riddle, his intentions shrouded in mystery. The building, once perhaps a grand establishment, now lies in ruin. Its walls, stripped of color, tell tales of abandonment and decay. The windows, shattered and broken, stare back like hollow eyes, as if the building itself is a living, breathing entity, a silent spectator to their midnight rendezvous. The driver's grip tightens on the steering wheel, knuckles turning white. The hitchhiker turns to him, his eyes reflecting a glint of something the driver can't quite decipher. Fear, excitement, madness. With a chilling smile, the hitchhiker begins to reveal his terrifying intention. He speaks of a dark past, a haunting tale that ties him to this forsaken place. His voice is a whisper in the wind, each word heavy with a dread that sinks into the driver's bones. The air grows colder, the wind howls in protest, and the driver's breath catches in his throat. The hitchhiker's tale is more than a mere story. It's a chilling prophecy, a terrifying outcome that is about to unfold. The driver's heart races, his palms sweat, his breaths come in ragged gasps. The reality of his situation sinks in. He's not just a driver anymore. He's a pawn in a horrifying game, a game that's leading him to a destination more terrifying than he could ever have imagined. And as the car door opens, the driver is gripped by a fear so intense it chills the very air. In the dark, the driver steps out, the cold wind biting at his skin. The desolate landscape stretches out before him, a sea of shadows under the moon's pale glow. The silence is deafening, broken only by the distant howl of the wind, a mournful lament that sends chills down his spine. The car, their only sanctuary in this barren wasteland, sits ominously behind him. Its headlights pierce the darkness, casting long, distorted shadows that dance and flicker like phantom specters. Inside, the hitchhiker remains a silent silhouette, his intentions shrouded in mystery. The driver's heart pounds in his chest, each beat echoing the growing sense of dread that fills the air. It's a palpable fear, thick enough to cut through as he turns to face the hitchhiker. The world seems to hold its breath, awaiting the climax of this chilling tale. And as the driver turns to face the hitchhiker, a scream cuts through the night.
Hit the subscribe button if you don't want me to come at night.